Anyone else like to speak about the Substance Abuse Task Force? Mr. Lombardo.
First of all, I agree with Mr. Ligori. And I agree with him on just about everything. We come from different sides of just about every issue, but we always find common ground, and I think it's an excellent proposal. I disagree with him when he says we don't always disagree. I always disagree with Tommy Ligori, and I think he loves Westerly, and people that I like don't like him, and the people he likes or hangs around with don't like me, but we still get along, and he's a smart guy. So the proposal, I would encourage you to look at it and adopt something like that. The question I have is, why wasn't it done earlier? And the reason is because I think, as you said, Mr. Duhamel, you didn't allow people to speak out and say negative things about other people. And unless we allow ourselves self-criticism, I don't think anything improves. And I think this is an improvement. And how it's been hanging out there with this quasi-fiduciary responsibility is bizarre. And I've said that over and over again. I feel like we're in the Wizard of Oz sometimes, just the weird things that go on that just have been going on for so long that they become commonplace. But it's not easy to come up here. The vitriol is unbelievable, and I take a lot of abuse from counselors and the people in the audience. But there's no illusions. If there weren't the four new counselors, we wouldn't be here tonight. You would have passed this, rubber stamped it, and this would have been never addressed. But I had to spend a whole day running around the town hall, getting the documents from Ms. Grabowski, and something didn't smell right to me. So that's why we're here, and I have to take a lot of abuse, and I'm here. Kay Dudley asked me to come. She wouldn't come here. Most people who want to criticize anything in this town, they don't come here because they're treated poorly. And I don't think that's fair, that everybody should be able to come here if they think they have a grievance and speak it. I mean, some people do, but not the weak, not the timid, not the people with the jobs in this town hall. They're abused, and I don't think that's right. Now, it was amazing, the woman who spoke on behalf of Mary Lou Sarah called her a Pied Piper. Does anybody know what a Pied Piper is? You looked it up? I had to make sure I got it right here. But a Pied Piper is a Webster Dictionary, a charismatic person who attracts followers, one that offers strong but delusive enticement, a leader who makes irresponsible promises. That's what they called her. So I don't know what they meant by that, but it's not something you want to be called.
May I clarify, Mr. Lombardo, for you?
Are you running?
Yeah, we're just listening to Mr. Lombardo at this point.
I mean, I just would like a little bit of respect, Mr. Duhamel, that you asked me to give you and not let people interrupt me.
Understood.
Thank you. Now, a lot of tonight was spent on the importance of checking the resume, getting the best qualified people, impressive candidates. All these words I heard. We're going to get the best and the brightest. And that's been my biggest complaint coming here, is that there are a lot of bright people in this town. But they're not always in the positions of power, and they're not included in the game. And I want to see progressive, hip, well-educated people, just like you've talked about all night. And I don't think the task force, and I'm sorry to say it, represents young, hip, and well-educated. I'm sorry. Look at the age of the task force in here. They're supposed to be preaching to teenagers. There's nothing wrong with it, but you're not going to make a connection to a teenager at that age. I'm not a teenager, but it hasn't been that long. I learned to drink and smoke pot behind the Babcock Junior High School with the basketball team, Mr. Carson. So you shouldn't have to go around trying to Could you please have some order in here, Mr. Duhamel? Could you ask them to calm down?
If we could allow Mr. Lombardo to have his speech or his thoughts, and then we'll move on.
I mean, you want decorum, you want respect. I don't need to hear that. It's constant. From Pat Douglas.
I didn't hear it, Mr. Lombardo,
All right,
so...
thank you. So, yes, I don't think you need a study group to find out where the kids are drinking, if you got a kid in the task force. So I hope that when you move forward with Mr. Ligori's proposal, and you set up a committee, you will include young people, really young kids. The high school kids know where to drink. You won't need to spend too much money on that. The other thing is, I don't know, in 2008, there was $435,000 given to this group for 3 years. And why wasn't there any oversight? Mr. Duhamel, you must have been around back then. You should have known where the money's going. And these audits, that's all great that there's audits, but we all know what you can do with audits. I'd like to see the audits, and you should see the audits to know, based on that $435,000 in 2008, you can get an idea of where it's going to go, $700,000 over 5 years. But I hate to be the stinker in the room, but I'm not the only one who thinks like this. I get calls all the time. People say, you can make the argument that this is a great substance abuse task force we have. But then the argument can be made that maybe they're not doing the right things because we wouldn't have been included in the $700,000 grant. It's not given to the people who don't have a problem, towns. It's given to the towns that do have a problem. And maybe the Substance Abuse Task Force, as harsh as that might sound to some ears, hasn't done a good job and aren't hip and don't have the credentials to know how to deal with this problem. I'm sorry to say it, but it has to be said. Now, when the last time I was here, I was told that they would abide by the open meetings law. Now, whether they have to or not is another question, but I was assured by your solicitor that going forward, because nobody wants to talk about the past in Westerly, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it well. Well, you're not, because you're not filing your minutes at the Secretary of State's office. So if you don't have to, then you don't have to, but, you said you're going to, then do it. And, you might only have a fiduciary duty, but when you have the office for the task force in this building, it becomes your responsibility. There's just no way. And I remember when I filed a grievance against Diana Serra, Mary Lou Serra followed me around the town council, this chambers, harassing me like a gargoyle on the roof. And I don't like...
Mr. Lombardo, this is outside of the Substance Abuse Task Force.
All right, no, but she's got an office in here, Mr. Duhamel. And so she's your responsibility, better or worse. You're responsible for all her actions in here. Now, talking about resumes, have you read the resume of Mary Lou Serra? Did you read it? Did you check it? Did you check the accuracy of it? I was just reading and I went to education. Well, first of all, she has not had a job in substance abuse except for the task force. Education, Roger Williams College, BA in Psychology, 1988. And when I read that and I read what she had done, I knew something was up. So I have to take my time, spend my money, and try to verify whether that resume is true. Whether she got, in 1988, Roger Williams College, a BA in Psychology. I went on the website where you verify it, and you all have this because I sent you the emails. I couldn't verify it. I asked on February 10th, and I was told it would be coming. And I asked again on the March 23rd. Now we get it. This, I guess, is this is what we got here? Did you read it? Is Roger Williams on there at all? What's the date on it? 1978. And what is this? What kind of degree is it? But it's not a BS from Roger Williams in 1988. And that, my friends, if you're going to talk about this and talk about how you want to do due diligence and check this and check that, you got to check it all. And if you're going to buy that one, I would like you to buy this one, which is my diploma from the Universal Life Church as a minister, the Reverend Robert Lombardo. And so if you're going to buy that one, then I'd like to be called a Reverend. I got that in 24th of April in 2002 from Reverend M. Davison, headquarters in Billings, Montana. Now, Kay Dudley did talk to me and asked me to come. She did not want to run the gauntlet. I don't blame them. Most people don't. She did do an interview, and she reiterated with the Westerly Sun, and she reiterated some of these things. And she doesn't know where the money goes in this task force, and I think that they're accountable for it. You know, they really are. And audits, that's fine that they've done audits. Let's see the audits. I'd like to see them. I'd like somebody with a jaundiced eye to look at them. With all due respect to Mr. Liguori, I have no doubt that he checked them, but I would like to check them myself. Now, she questioned what's that?
The annual public record.
All right, well, I'd like to see them.
Go get them, you gotta get them.
If we can have one meeting, Mr. Lombardo,
All right.
just please continue.
Thank you. Dudley questioned the task force direction. Now, this is a woman who's been there a long time, just like these women, but you can't speak out. Saying the number of meetings last year were devoted to developing a cookbook to be sold as a fundraiser. They were preoccupied with this cookbook. I told them cookbooks are obsolete. Sure are. And there's a lot of money that's gone through this task force. No oversight. None. And remember that this is, you know, the paper reported when she was questioned about this Roger Williams College, Mary Lou Serra blamed other people, basically pointing the finger at Amy Grabowski, who I thought she was doing it because she changed it on the application. But I just read you the resume, her resume with her name on the top of it. Can't blame other people. And this is what Ms. Dudley felt. I really think there must be people with the right qualifications. They should see what other task forces are doing. They should look for new, innovative ideas that someone can bring in here to Westerly, Dudley said. What's wrong with that idea? That's what you talked about all night. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And she admitted that many of the task force members appear to be part of a clique or Sarah's old buddies. I'm not here from here, I just went in to help. So that's the other side of the issue. It's not pleasant when I get up and speak, but it's criticism. And I'm asking you to consider it. But I think tonight's meeting with you all wanting to get somebody who's qualified and really qualified and put the applications out there. Do you see all the people you got to do this job? That's a terrible job. I question Amy Grabowski's mental state for taking it because it's a tough one. I mean, it's almost like you're disqualified for wanting the job. But you see how many people want it, want the challenge, and you pay good money. We can get better. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of great people in this town. There's a lot of younger people with degrees in substance abuse, masters in this stuff, and they're hip on the new things. I'm getting old. We're all getting old. We're all old up here. But we need some younger people and mix them, younger with older. But just because somebody did a great job for 20-some years, maybe, doesn't mean they're qualified for the next 20. We all die. That's why we have to die for new ideas. So I'm asking you to really consider it and look at the whole thing. But Mr. Liguori's ordinance that he proposes, I agree with it 100%. I never disagree with Mr. Liguori. But so I'm for that, but I do have a problem with the person running it, and for the reasons I stated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo.